Okay, we should be live everywhere where you find fine computer vision and artificial intelligence webinars such as this one, because there's so many of them, right?
Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to OpenCV weekly webinar. And today I have two guests. One is Anna Petrovicheva, who is the CTO of OpenCV.AI Corporation. She also manages large parts of development for OpenCV library itself. Her team actually helps develop the OpenCV library. When you actually send in a pull request, somebody from her team is responsible for putting those pull requests in. So Anna plays a very important role in OpenCV development, as well as she's the CTO of OpenCV.AI Corporation. And also with us is Vadim Zubkov, who is the product manager of Modelplace.AI. So he is, if anything goes wrong with Modelplace.ai, you know who to contact. We are getting you in touch with the person who is responsible for the overall development of Modelplace.ai. And also with us is Phil Nelson, who is the director of content at OpenCV. And he's responsible for putting these webinars, a lot of things. You know, even the work that we are doing with Light Twist, where we are putting a set together for OpenCV, which will hopefully happen next week. Phil is the person behind, he's the ghost behind the machine. So Phil, how are you doing? And, would you like our audience to just know a little bit more about how the show goes?
Woo! I'm a ghost. Good morning, everybody. It is me, once again, the co-host with the co-most, or the co-ghost with the co-most. I'm not sure. Your plus one and only, the second banana who is second to none, the next best thing, Phil Nelson. I'm here to remind you about a couple things we do every week here on OpenCV Weekly Webinar, one of which is we take questions from you in the audience. Please ask your question wherever you're watching the show in the comments section on LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, whatever. Use the Zoom Q&A button here and we'll try to get to it at the end of the show. We will also do a special giveaway at the end of the episode. Anna, would you like to tell our viewers what they will win if they answer the trivia question correctly later in the show?
Yeah, sure. The person who gets it correctly the first is going to get 3 months of cloud tier for Modelplace for free, meaning that they will be able to send 100K images per day for 3 months, and a consultation from our expert for free too.
And this is
incredible
for any model,
value,
right, Anna, of their choice? They could.
Yes, it is going to be any model from Modelplace of their choice. Thank you, Satya.
An incredible value for whoever wins our trivia contest. Stay tuned for that later in the episode. Back to you, Satya.
All right. So the way this thing will go is, we are going over Modelplace.ai. This is a product that OpenCV has been building for quite some time. And we have been in alpha for some time, and we have been adding features, getting feedback from users. And now we have a new version of the product. And so a lot of people don't know what Modelplace.ai is because we have not really promoted it. We have been testing it behind the scene. A few people know about it, and we have been talking to users, but we have not really gone full blown on promotion. And this is the next step. We are close to we're close to a place where we can say that the product is pretty much in very good shape. And we have got feedback from the users. This is the second iteration of the product. So I will let Anna actually describe the product. Anna and Vadim actually describe the product, and then walk us through what is the product about, because there is something that superficially you see it, but as a developer, you need the details. And that's what Anna and Vadim will do for us today.
Yeah, thank you, Satya. So yeah, first I'm going to talk a bit about why Modelplace and why am I spending my resources and my time on building that. So I actually first got this idea 5 years ago. But let me first, go even before that. I've been a computer vision engineer for 12 years now. and built a lot of different products and projects, first with classical computer vision and then with deep learning. At some point, I also started my consulting company, and I kind of started, by doing that, I even started seeing more kind of different use cases of computer vision that people build and sell and like create a products on. So I always had this kind of question on my mind. So there is an abundance of like computer vision algorithms out there. For example, you can go to GitHub and you can already find many algorithms that would make very good products. But from the customer point of view, if this algorithm is already exists, it's there on GitHub and it's even open sourced with kind of code available with commercial license, for example, why does it take like a long time to create it, like to turn it into something ready for production? So developers understand that you need to put like real hours to download it from GitHub, set up the environment, test whether it even works or not. If it works, you need to like convert it to some specific format, put it on some existing platform like TensorRT or OpenCV AI Kit or like Coral from Google, right? And this would take kind of a couple of months. So my my vision there was that like there is a lot of actually talented developers, like computer vision developers, deep learning developers that spend their hours on integrating things instead of like building new things. And I wanted to create something that would actually allow them to focus their brain power on something like really hard, not integrating things, but rather building. So this is actually somewhat similar to how Gary Brasky got this idea of like OpenCV back in 1996, when you wanted to test something that was written in someone else's computer vision paper. You would need to re-implement everything from scratch, including the part when you would want to put the image right on the screen, right? So it was not to call a single function. You needed to re-implement this piece of code. So Gary wanted to create something that would allow people to build on top of each other's work rather than re-implement it like every single time. And this idea that I got, it's actually really the same. Basically, to nail it down, kind of the way to make people spend less time on mundane things and more time on like really interesting things, like the way to nail it down to my mind was to make the testing and integration dramatically easier, right? Like orders of magnitude easier. And this is kind of the vision that I got when we started building Modelplace.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a trend in the industry, not just in AI, but in general in the industry. If you guys remember a long time back, 20 years back, people, every company would have their own email server. There would be a person dedicated who's the IT person, who's most of the time this IT person would simply be handling the email server, right? They would be making sure that the email server runs, the hard disk space doesn't run out. So this was their full-time job.
Full-time job, making sure that somebody in accounting didn't click the wrong link one day and take the whole system down. It was a real thing.
I mean, it's still there are IT roles still necessary, but email used to consume a big part of their because it was the primary communication tool, and if email was down, everything was down. The business went down. And then Gmail comes along and gives you an option to do enterprise version of email. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's just taken care of, right? It's hosted in the cloud. It's back. You don't even think about, oh, what's happening to my Gmail backup, right? You assume that it's being done properly, right? So these services that once we used to do ourselves, once they become a commodity, we want ease of use, extreme ease of use. And that's we are heading with some of these models. Also, we know what we want, but we want to choose. There are so many choices. We want to be able to choose properly. And Modelplace.AI gives us the option of choosing these models easily and then integrating without hassle, integrating it in our applications where you don't have to worry about scaling. Let's say you get 200,000 users suddenly. you don't have to worry about scaling. Our platform scales that for you automatically, right? And it also has, suppose you don't want to spend that much money, then it will automatically, notify you that, oh, there's this huge spike in traffic, and so you're hitting your limits and things like that. So that's the vision of the product.
Yeah, and we were discussing in the green room, as it were, before the show. A similar example is the microcontroller market. I've got a little RP 2040 here, and just even 7 years ago, you would have to buy most of these individual components and wire them up on a breadboard to get the functionality that's here. And now I can just spend $6 and integrate it into a product, a little DIY product like this, like I use for this. This is the switcher for our upcoming show, perhaps. But it's a similar concept, and even within that ecosystem, there are different flavors based on what kind of power, what kind of capacity you need. For example, the tiny circuit Thumbie is built on the same sort of thing, and it would have been impossible even just 5 years ago. So I think Modelplace fills a similar hole in the current story for AI and machine learning.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, first people create things and then people optimize things. So there are kind of these two constantly kind of repeating phases of development, right? So Modelplace is the optimization. We already have a lot of algorithms out there, but they're pretty hard to kind of turn into real life products. And the push there, like the vision there, is to make it dramatically easier. By doing that, we want to democratize that. So we want to make sure that product people, they can understand and they can build things even without having to go through all these, complex steps. And developers, they can build things without having to learn how to scale things in Kubernetes, right? They need to do what they're best at, which is creating computer vision algorithms. So this is the push.
And sometimes the code that comes out of research labs, it's obviously not complete in the sense that for pose estimation, sometimes you get the output as a heat map, and then you have to actually interpret that heat map and make the stick figure out of it, right? So that kind of thing where you want the cutting edge stuff, but it's not just available easily through the source. So Modelplace is very useful in that scenario also.
Professional researchers versus professional programmers, maybe.
Yeah, there is a whole word between that. Yes. One more thing I wanted to mention here is that there is kind of a whole, I would say, kind of a whole specialty of people who not kind of create models, but they convert these models from one, framework, for example, PyTorch, to some other framework or platform, for example, TensorRT for NVIDIA-based devices. So we want to be there. We want to do that, right? And basically, we provide our models for different platforms to make sure that, again, people need to develop the algorithms and we will take care about the other stuff. So kind of going to specific things that Modelplace does, it's actually pretty simple, right? So I'm talking about this, vision, democratization, and stuff like that. But actually, to do that, you need to implement 3 steps. First, you need to be able to super easily test things. Super easily. You don't need to spend a lot of time, because you get an idea, you should be able to test it very quickly in a matter of minutes. So to do that, Modelplace provides test environment where you can upload your image and test how it works. So let me actually share my screen and show you that. So I'm basically going to go to Modelplace. It's right here at Modelplace.AI.
And if you've seen the site before, you'll notice it looks a little bit different now. There's been a pretty big, bit of effort done to redesign and redevelop the front end here, especially.
So I'm going to go to Solutions, and I'm going to select Face here. And I'm specifically interested in anti-spoofing technology today. So imagine I want to build something like some product for understanding whether a person, it's a real person who I'm looking at, or it's a photo of them that they are trying to, for example, use to trespass to some prohibited space. So an hour ago.
Anna, one second. So what I'm seeing is that earlier, we used to have separate pages for face recognition, detection, etc. But now all of these things are on the same page. So when you go to face, you know that you can do all these other things like detection. There's another tab for landmark and a third one for recognition. And then you have more options for each one of them.
Yeah, it was actually one of the key takeaways from the first version of the site. So like I've been in computer vision space for so long, I cannot even kind of understand that these different words that have different meanings, and you need to understand how to apply them and stuff like that. So kind of for me, it's obvious that when you talk about detection, it means that you find a bounding box. But actually, in real life, this word has different meaning. So we want to speak the language here in the solutions page. We want to speak the language of business people. We want them to understand what does this thing really do. And what it does, it is something about the face, right?
Right. And in fact, I have this, so constantly when people who are not familiar with computer vision, when they talk, when they say face recognition, they could mean face detection. Actually, sometimes they are actually talking about face detection, but they use the word face detection. And if you've talked to a lot of people outside the industry, then you would know. Otherwise, you would not. You would think that, oh, they are looking for a face recognition solution. Why do they want it for such a cheap price? How do they expect it to be so inexpensive? But sometimes they're talking about detection. Yeah.
And when you talk about face landmarks, then like people have completely different vocabulary than like computer vision people, because we either name them key points, landmarks, or maybe face mesh, but people are going to talk about completely different things. So this area is all the algorithms that are related to face, and it's a kind of it's a curated collection of the best algorithms that we have that are applicable for the solutions, again, around the face. So anti-spoofing is, again, a solution that is around the face, right? So it detects whether the face is of a real person or of a photo. And like I just like my husband actually made this photo of me like 10 minutes ago, or sorry, 10 minutes ago before the start of the like this practice session right here, close to the place where I'm talking right now. And this is how it works. So I just upload this image here and I get an idea that yes, this model does work. It highlights my face as real and my face on my phone as spoofing, right?
And to try this out, you didn't even have to create an account. You didn't have to sign in, anything. This is just available. Yeah, that's awesome.
Again, one major takeaway from the previous version. So we removed any hassle to do that. You don't need to give us your email or anything. Just please test the model and see whether it's good for you or not. So this way you can actually understand whether your idea is compatible with our model in a matter of seconds, right? So you saw that how it works, like it works really fast. Technically, this goes all the way from me to Google Cloud, and we have a scalable backend there that would run the model. If it turns out that many people would at the same time want to run the same model, part of the people would do that for, from their APIs, from their Python code. Some of the people would want to do it just like me to test on the side. Then our system here, like in Google Cloud, it would spin off more machines so that they can run the same model, produce the results, and go to sleep. So this automatically scalable system, it helps make it like easily pushable into the production. So the next step is actually to start like testing whether you can use this thing from your code, right? Imagine that you have a code and your solution, like let's imagine it's in Python. The way you do that is you copy and paste this code here, paste it into your solution, and it works. So you have 25 free requests per day to test that, to develop the solution. And like we made all the efforts possible here to make sure that you can do it right now. So from our experience, it takes minutes to start getting the results, right? these minutes
So
like
we
for you
didn't.
to.
This piece of Python code doesn't require a license key.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't require registration. You can simply start using. The only
Exactly.
downside would be that there are limited number of requests that you can do with this. If you register, there are more. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
like you can get 25 images per day for free
Yep.
for debug reasons, or like if you're a small business. And then you can, like, if you want more, you can go here to the pricing section and buy this starter pack for $75 per month to get 100,000 images per day. So this is what you get. We have even a pack for like 4 million images per day for like bigger businesses. So this is it. Yeah, it's as easy as that. You don't need to change the code. You just need to like pay this $75 to us and use the same code to just do more requests to the cloud. This is it. Okay, and like when you are satisfied, yep.
I see there's a bunch of, it looks like we had Python example, curl, Swift, Java, PHP, Go, Rust, C++, C#. Robust are the offerings.
So we don't have like the code already available on the site for all of these languages. We do have for some, and we're going to be adding more and more in the future, depending on like what people really want. But if you contact us, we will just send you immediately a code sample for all these languages.
I love, as a developer myself, I love that there's just a simple curl example, because what system doesn't have curl installed?
Like every system has. A good example, like my husband is an iOS developer, and he just copied and pasted this curl example even before we had Swift example there, and it just like worked in 1 minute. So
That's
this
great.
is how we want it to actually go on your side.
Love it.
Okay, so yeah, you need minutes and you get it running.
Actually, Anna, if you could pause, I just wanted to quickly ask our audience, you know, what do you guys feel until now, right? I mean, from our point of view, it looks like, you know, this is what the developers would want, right? Piece of code, they quickly copy and paste, and then, you know, they're ready for their application. Is there something missing in the way we are thinking about this product, right? Is there something more that you would want and you don't see it yet?
Yeah, feel free to answer here in the chat, folks, or send us an email, or visit the contact page on Modelplace. I think it's Modelplace.AI/contact.
Yeah, you go right here.
Keep thinking about it, and when we have at the end of the webinar, we can bring that question up. If you have any.
Use the little Zoom Q&A button, or ask your question on whatever service you're watching us. I am actively monitoring them, so if you want to insult me, now's the time.
So there are two questions already. It seems that David has asked some question. With Modelplace.AI, can I program in Python a kind of terminal app, and all the hard work can be made by the remote Modelplace.AI cloud?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. That's exactly the goal, and that's what it does. You simply copy paste this code in your app, and then whatever logic you want, right? Your specific application would be different, but when you call this, you get the response, and with that response, you can do whatever you want to do. Let's say after face detection, you are applying some filter. You can go and apply that filter in OpenCV. But the face detection, or you want to make sure that you're applying filters only to fake faces, right? So you're blurring out fake faces which are not real, then you can only apply that filter to fake faces. So quite easy.
Yeah, just add the given code to Dave's awesome app.py.
And Bhaskar says that it's in great shape currently. So thanks, Bhaskar.
Thanks, Bhaskar.
Thank you so much. So we actually have a community on GitHub, because we have a lot of the code related to the Modelplace, including the samples on GitHub. And we are working with the community there to make sure that it's working, it's in a very good shape, and we get very good kind of responses from there. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like we would super appreciate if you could share the things that you like about the model place and the things that you think are missing here. If you want to send it after the webinar, just go here to contact us and then select other. This will send and write your thoughts here. Tell us what you need. So this will actually turn into an email to us, and we would be super appreciative of that. Thank you so much.
I just went ahead and dropped the link in all of our chat services here, so people can get just a little click over there if you have thoughts and suggestions.
And there's a question from Pierre who asks, can we have our own custom model here? And is there a limitation for model size? How much time does it take to package a model? Can people use Modelplace for their custom models?
Yeah, sure. So the process typically takes several days from our side. We first send you an instruction on what to do, like what the format do we need. It's pretty standard. So you need to send us a Python code, a model that infers it, and some metadata close to that. We will wrap it into our API. It takes a couple of days again, and you are able to use it. Now, like the question is whether you want to use it like for your own purposes, right, as a custom model for you only, or you're talking about selling the model at Modelplace. But in both cases, actually, the process is the same. The difference is whether it's going to be visible on the marketplace or not. And the license agreement that we will sign will be different. In the first case, we will say that we will not sell it to anybody else. We will just like give the API to you guys.
Right. So the selling piece is easy, right? I mean, if you're using that model and selling it, then there will be a revenue share between Modelplace.AI and the seller. What happens when they use it for their own use? How does that, is it still $75 for that many requests? Is there a size limitation on the size of the model? How does it work?
There is no limitation on the size of the model. The way that it works is like depending on the size of the model. For example, if it's pretty big, then we will need to select the higher tier Google Cloud machine. So we select different machines for different models. Like we will select a bigger, like fatter machine, and it will run the model there. Depending on how big the machine is, we will change the pricing. But you can expect that it will be somewhere in the range close to the pricing that is on the site right now.
Okay.
Got a suggestion from Martin here. You'd like to see syntax highlighting on the code samples. Good suggestion, Martin. Also got a question from David. I think you can show us some of the more models that are available on the site. David would like to know what other models are available currently on Modelplace.
Yeah, sure, I would love to. So let's go to the marketplace. Marketplace is the place where we developers can understand what's going on. So it has all of the models here available, right? Like solutions, it's a curated collection of models that are grouped by the kind of topic, right? So you go here to like person and you select, for example, I want to do detection, right? In driving use case, stuff like that here. But in Marketplace, it just has all the models and it has some developer tools for us kind of engineering people to be able to dig deeper. So for example, I go here to like to YOLO V5. There is a section here named model performance. In model performance section, there is a benchmark that actually shows the quality of the models, their size, and their performance. So you can see that bigger models, they have bigger circles here. More like faster models, they are closer to the left here. Sorry, closer to the right here. And the quality is here. The quality, like the higher the better, basically. So you can select whether you would go for something that is very, very fast but has lower quality, but either or with very high quality but bigger and slower. These numbers, we measure them ourselves. They're not taken from papers. Like typically the thing that we see is the numbers from the papers, they're not directly comparable because every other team, they have their own metric, their own way just to compare their mean average precision. Even if the name is the same, you can find like many different types of these metrics, and they would like slightly differ. So it's important to have a unified way to compute the metric and to compare the models with each other.
And those
and this is
models
what
are
we do
also
here.
going to those models are also going to, you know, put their thumb on the scale, as it were, and, you know, maybe make them look a little bit better. Just, it's human nature, I think.
Yes.
But it helps to have this more objective view.
I mean, here you can see that I don't know which model is which. There are two big circles. Yeah, so this one is YOLO X. It is actually smaller than YOLO V5 and about the same performance. Is that right, Anna?
No, like the model that is that we're looking at here is YOLO V5, and here it's in purple. So it has smaller amount of weight, so it's kind of smaller checkpoint here. But it has almost the same accuracy. So if you compare as YOLO X, yes. Yeah. So in this case, I would go with YOLO V5.
I keep wanting to call it YOLOX.
YOLOX. So I'm actually expecting a question about YOLO V6 and YOLO V7 that are super recent. And I'm going to say stay tuned on that.
Getting out in front of it, good call.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that even because I read most of the things, I don't listen. So I don't know what people call, do they call it YOLO X or YOLOX?
I'm just calling it YOLOX because I think it's funny.
All right. All right.
Or like YOLO R, YOLAR. It sounds like a Conan the Barbarian character. I am YOLAR, the detector.
I always wonder whether the author of the first YOLO even kind of had a slight idea of how popular this is going to be, right? Because like completely unrelated, yeah, I mean, completely unrelated people and teams now call their networks YOLO in its kind of standard.
Right. And the funny thing is that he's also the kind of person who really doesn't care whether he's popular or not popular.
I mean, I'm not sure it's still up there, but on his personal site, that there was a super, like, probably the best CV I ever saw filled with ponies. So you should check it out.
We've talked about it on the show before. The PDF. Yeah, I'll find the link and drop it in the chat here because it is A+ work.
Yes.
But this model performance is very important because, you know, there are so many things out there. Just imagine the amount of work that would be needed even if you wanted to do a tiny fraction of these. Let's say you wanted to compare three models to choose. It's a daunting task. You can easily spend a week if you're an expert, or more if you don't know how these things work, right? It can take you a month easily if you have rudimentary knowledge of these things. So I actually find this thing very helpful, and because it's all out there in public, if somebody wants to dispute the claim, we can just work with them and see why they dispute the claim and make it right. But to the best of our knowledge, all this information is tested. We put a lot of effort into making this benchmark as truthful as possible, as correct, as accurate as possible.
Yeah, and we put all the information about how we do these measurements out there. So it's here on our blog, and the code is available. So like we want to make sure that we're doing this right. And the reason, like, we want to make sure that people are selecting the models that work for their specific use case, right?
Yeah.
I noticed we're using MS Cocoa there. I'm sure this is infuriating RoboFlow CEO and known Iowan Joseph Nelson. We'll have to have him on the show to talk about that again.
It would be a nice talk.
Also,
but yeah.
Sorry, Anna, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why we do that is like, so what we did here is we took all these, different neural networks. They all compared they all reported their quality on MS Cocoa, and they were trained on MS Cocoa. So we need to measure the quality on MS Cocoa too. The only thing that we changed is we did it in a uniform fashion, and we did it ourselves to make sure that we can actually compare the numbers.
Right. And
Yeah, it's
it's
great.
also, a good tool to show to your boss who, they may come in and say, oh, did you do this test? Without realizing that it may actually take you a month to do the comparison. Did you actually test out 3 models and choose the best? And you can just say, yes, we did. This is what the results look
Just take
like.
it. Yeah, take a screenshot of Modelplace. Like, yes, boss, we spent a month on it.
Or, you can be truthful and uh,
Well, I
tell
mean,
them about
somebody
Modelplace.
spent a month on it.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, so papers with code, they also have a framework to do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not kind of super explicit, but like it has a lot of models there. You can do a very, very good kind of guess looking at the plots. So we are not the only one to do that. But this space is definitely not filled enough because it's really hard to compare algorithms here in 2022, which still kind of surprises me.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, going to the marketplace, we have a lot of different models. I would split them into kind of logical groups. First is general purpose models, for example, detection on MS COCO, that would work on like people, cars, and other objects. And second group is something very, very specific that would work in a very specific use case. For example, seatbelt detector or like fire detector. You can like immediately understand what would be the product that you can build around that. And this would be a specific thing. So we can just go through here, handgun detector, like leaf segmentation, pothole detector. These like all the models that I'm showing here were provided by the developers. They were not developed by OpenCV.AI. They were provided by people who developed these models and wanted to sell it on OpenCV.AI. And this is the developer economy that I'm talking about. People, they spend time to create something really valuable, and we are going to be the channel to sell this and the channel to turn it into the format that is ready for the production.
Yeah, so what you're saying, Anna, is that for public models like YOLO V5, etc., where they have clearly mentioned what the benchmarks are, we have provided the benchmark and tested it ourselves. But there could be other things where we don't have access to data sets. There is no standard data set, etc. In there, we cannot provide you accuracy numbers, right? Like pothole detection. I don't know whether there is a standard data set where everybody says, oh, this is the data set. So there we will not be able to provide accuracy numbers. There you'll have to do your own experiments to figure out what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Satya. Exactly. So in some cases, we are able to compile, or like the developers, they provide a very small test set that we can also use to test this model and other models that work in the same kind of task. But for most models that work in this like very specific condition, for example, fire detector, there is no benchmark that we could use.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, we have a number of models, as you can see, for different use cases. Like, again, would be super happy if you provided us any feedback or thoughts about what you like or don't like about that, what we should add. Or in case if you want to sell your model through Modelplace, we would be even more happy. So reach out to us and we will organize that. So in case if you want to sell the models, the revenue sharing deal, such as already discussed, is like 70% of the price that we get goes to the developer of the model, and 30% is for the Modelplace. And remember that we handle the cloud costs too. So you don't need to pay for the cloud. We do that on our side.
Yeah. The only thing that we may require of you is, let's say if we get user feedback and the accuracy, etc., is not good for certain conditions, we'll pass it on to you. And I mean, if you want to keep selling that model, people would appreciate if you update the model, right? That kind of feedback we would give.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jordan Wolf would like to know, is there a rating or review system planned for marketplace, the model marketplace?
It is planned. We actually keep kind of decreasing it in the priority because there is so many different things that we want to do. but we want to enable comments and review system on the site so that people can share their thoughts. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm, there are other sort of marketplaces like this, but I don't think there are any that are presented quite in this way and that have such a level of, you get such insight into the model without even having to do anything. I think that's what's really interesting to me about this. If let's take a look at that solutions page again. I think this is a really interesting section here, especially for people that are new to AI or machine learning. If they're just trying to get their feet wet and understand how some of these things work, I think the solutions catalog you've built is a really great place for them to try these out, whether or not they're a business person or just not a, not necessarily up to speed on what the state of the art is or the state of the tech. And so there's all these great ways to not just see what's available, but also what models are available to serve that particular use case. And you can just try it out right there on the site without having to sign up or sign in or anything. It's very, very interesting. I personally I've been threatening to do this for years now, I think, and so I may end up finally having to create my video game cartridge detector that will like automatically, tell you what game and what system and how much it's worth on eBay and that sort of thing.
That's super cool. Please feel free to submit it to Modelplace.
Let's take a look at the animals use case here. I'm interested to see what you've got to offer. Of course, everybody loves animals.
Of course, yeah.
Aw. Great segmentation there on the keys. Yeah.
So the philosophy that we had here is that these are real results. These are not, like, you can see that they are not perfect, but very good, good enough for like product. So these are real results from the real models. You can see that the models are not still kind of doing completely like best job ever for like all the images, but they are very, very close.
Yeah, and then they're, it's an honest view, which I really appreciate. And I think, business people and developers appreciate honesty in this sort of thing. Everybody, is a little bit P.T. Barnum these days and trying to sell things maybe a little bit in a heightened way, but this is just an honest look at what these models do at the time they were deployed, which I think is great.
Thank you so much. I think that's because like we developers built it for developers, and we feel it. We know how frustrating it is to start working on something and understand that it just is not there. So yeah. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to talk a bit about is a local plan. So imagine that you would, again, let's go to these skiddies, and for some reason you don't want to send the images of the animals to the cloud. You want them to like be processed locally, right? This may happen for
maybe your cat is really into operational security. Who knows?
Why not? Why not? Or like there is a GDPR for cats. We don't know. The other reason may be that you don't have a stable internet connection to send all the images of like every kitty possible. So in these cases, you may want to go local, which means that you can select our on-premise model. We will send this very model that works here, specified for your platform that you are going to run it. For example, CPU, GPU, like NVIDIA Jetson, OpenCV AI Kit. Like this model for your platform, we will send it to you. The cost starts at $299. It depends on whether this is a like public model that we took on GitHub and converted into our solution, or this is a model from a developer, because if you are a developer, you are free to set your own pricing.
And is it a one-time price, or is it a monthly price?
Thank you, Satya. It's a yearly price. You pay this amount per year, but only for the first 3 years. After that, the license is for free.
Okay. For public models, right? For a more specialized models, it could be that you have to pay an annual fee forever. Like things like face recognition, etc. When we add them, it may not be, those are more sophisticated technologies. So there could be a licensing fee for a long time.
Yes. It's actually kind of up to the developer to set the pricing policy. We do talk to them and we recommend them what is the best kind of pricing for this specific model, what is realistic and what is completely not realistic, right?
Yeah.
But our goal here is to make sure that we decrease the cost of the development, like several orders of the magnitude. Because like to develop, like to take a model from GitHub, convert it to like all the needed platforms and make sure that it really works in the production environment, it takes months of work of like developers, machine learning developers who earn significant money.
Right. And frankly, I mean, if you're in the United States, let's say, a developer is making $100,000 a year, um, that converts to $50 an hour. And people don't realize that, if you're spending 7-8 hours on something, then that's equivalent to, $400, $500. And you could just pay the annual fee for some of this and get the model ready for you. This is something that I realized later in life, a little bit later in life, that time is money. When I started paying hourly rates to some of the consultants, so they would say, "Oh, this thing is going to take X number of hours." Right. And I would think that, oh, I can just buy it off the shelf. Why would I want to develop it myself? But a lot of people who are in companies, they don't realize, they feel that because they're not paying by the hour, the person is on salary, they don't realize that you're still spending that money. You just don't realize that you just spend that money in time, and it feels that, oh, $700, $800 or whatever the cost is too much. But in reality, if you really think about it, you will know that it's nothing, right? $250 for a model, it's nothing compared to the amount of time you would spend in optimizing the model. If you like a model, just get it, the annual licensing, and it's a much better deal than trying to optimize it yourself.
Yeah, we're coming up on about 12 minutes left. Let's do our trivia giveaway, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. So, Phil, if you don't mind, I'm going to like talk for like 2 more minutes, and then we can just go completely to trivia.
Sounds great.
So the last thing that I wanted to talk about is like in some cases people need consulting when they integrate our models into the production. This may be two ways. This may go two ways. First, there is a question how to integrate this specific model for this specific platform to your product in an optimal way, because this is where the kind of suboptimal things happen. Second, like people may want us to tune this very model for a very kind of specific use case, for example, black cats only, right? In both cases, we are open to that. Like if you happen to want consulting along with the local model, we have a specific tier for that in this contact us page. And this is it from our side. So from my side, so we can discuss questions. Looking super forward to that and trivia.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. Go ahead and unshare your screen if you will. Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to do a trivia giveaway of Anna. Would you like to remind them what they'll win if they answer the trivia question correctly?
So the winner is going to get 3 months of 100K images per day for free and a consultation from our expert. This is going to go
any model on the
for
site.
any model, yes. Any model of their choice.
Awesome. Love it. So the way this works is I'm going to ask a trivia question based on the presentation so far. You in the Zoom audience, only the Zoom audience. If you're not on Zoom, you can get on Zoom by going to opencv.live. There is still time. In fact, you have until the end of the next sentence to get on here. I'm going to ask this question, and the very first person to answer it in Zoom here correctly will win what Anna just told you about. So, hands on buzzers, get ready to answer. Earlier, we talked about the benchmarking system that is set up for Modelplace. What data set is used for these benchmarks? Be specific. There we go. It looks like Bhaskar. Bhaskar was got the correct one. MS Coco. Some of you said Coco. I said be specific. Bhaskar, please send one email to phil@opencv.org, and we'll make sure that you get hooked up with whatever model you want for 3 months for the technical term, I think, is a crap ton of requests. So we hope you make something really awesome with it. Congratulations. Moving on to questions, we've got quite a few here from folks. Eli would like to know, can you say compare and contrast Modelplace with, for example, Azure Cognitive Services, which a lot of people used during OpenCV Spatial AI contest this year? This would be either for Anna or Vadim.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. Super appreciate it. So basically, we are close in this sense that Amazon provides like a cloud service for their set of models. We provide cloud service for our set of models. What we are going to our goal here is to build a developer economy. So we want to make sure that people from different places in the world submit the models to us, and we take care of everything else. And we pay more money to the developers in this case. So this can create a really kind of working businesses for people. And this is the goal.
And another difference is the long tail, right? Amazon doesn't care about, let's say somebody came up with, I'm just picking something, I don't know, hairstyle detector, right? That you have, you classify the hairstyles into different categories. That's a small market for Amazon, right? But for somebody who has built this thing, and it can be used by salon owners, even if it is, let's say, a $10 million business, Amazon is not interested in that model, right? But a lot of people who are in that space might be interested in providing this model to salon owners or some kind of service like this. So it's the long tail also that we'll offer.
Yeah, so like creating a model like that, it's selling it to a wide kind of audience can be life-changing for people, and this is what we target here.
Yeah, these boutique. There's room now for sort of these cottage industry models. I think, like my example of the game cartridge detector. I think for the most part, that's probably not useful to a huge number of people compared to, say, person tracking or people counting for retail scenarios. But the people for whom that's interesting, it's very interesting. And I think there's infinite number of these small use cases that people can, kind of create their own little boutique cottage industry business based on. And I think that's one of the things that's really interesting here, especially because the rev share is a little more generous than some of the competitors. So that's great.
The way I think about this is like it's kind of a blue ocean scenario. It's not that it's a packed kind of industry where we need to it's very tight and we need to kind of fight the competition. No, we need to educate the kind of super big audience that doesn't even know about things about like that this exists. You can use it super easily for this amount of money. And this is the state that we are in. Because of that, I'm kind of less worried about the competition here and more worried about how to kind of make the product better for people who don't know about this yet.
There's a lot of fish in the sea, as they say. Steve says, kudos to your team for their professionalism and enthusiasm. Must not be talking about me. The weekly presentations are great. I myself have also become an OpenCV OAKD and machine learning evangelist. Thanks for watching, Steve. That's awesome. We wish you all the success in the world. Kishore would like to know, does the Modelplace benchmark show the confidence of the prediction, or do the tests show the confidence of the like for bounding boxes and things like this in the web form?
No, it doesn't. So like you like, just to be clear, when you use your image there, you can view what was the confidence for the box that was produced, for example, for me, when it said that I'm a real person or like it's a spoofing. But it's kind of traditional approach that when you compute the metric, you approach confidences differently. So depending on the implementation, you may either not look at the boxes which have lower confidence than something fixed, but more often people go by sorting the bounding boxes by confidence and then matching the most confident detection to the ground truth, or saying that they are false positives. So this is how it treats their confidence. So this basically means that you need to have all the confidences for all the bounding boxes produced for the different neural networks to even be able to compute them in average precision.
I see. That makes
And
sense.
the exact mechanism, Anna, that we use, it's all completely, it's in that blog post. We mention everything, how we computed everything, right?
Yes,
All
yes,
the metrics.
completely.
Right on. So I always like to ask this when people are talking about projects they've worked on or are working on. And so I'll ask, Vadim's been awful quiet today. I'm going to ask him first. What has surprised you most, Vadim, about working on Modelplace, like from when you first started on it? What in the development process have you been like really surprised or excited about?
I suppose that we try to become closer to business, and we try to make the specific catalog for them. And I suppose that, and I hope that we try to become more attractive for sellers. We try to become the platform where different sellers, different developers will choose us as a platform for selling their models.
What has surprised you though, like in the as a developer, like creating the system?
I was surprised that developers using their slang, only their slang, and it's extremely difficult to understand this world for different business, for different people, and it's extremely difficult to find what you need, even if you know what you need. It's extremely difficult to find it.
So you're surprised that there's not already a bunch of places doing this in the same way because it seems so obvious, but it's not.
It's very close sphere.
Yeah,
it's very close sphere, and I suppose that it should be closer to business.
Yeah, great answer. Anna, what about you? What was surprised you most about working on Modelplace over the last year or so?
Well, it would probably be the same thing. So first, we decided to create it kind of without a product manager. And we were super comfortable talking like engineer to engineer, understanding each other completely. And then Vadim comes to the scene and we're like, detection. And he's like, what is detection specifically? And we're like, what? And like, it really opened my eyes because I understood how other people are not understanding what we are talking about on the side. And kind of for like a big part of our audience, model benchmark is like super cool feature, but for the other half, it's like, what is it exactly? So they don't even understand what's going on. It was the most surprising thing there.
Yeah. What's the difference between semantic segmentation and instant segmentation?
Yes.
And it's a big world.
Yeah.
There are many things in the deep blue sea. Satya, how about you? I mean, you're part of this as well. What has surprised you most about Modelplace over the last year?
Well, it's the amount of effort that takes to build a finished product, right? That is the surprising bit. Always, no matter how much experience you have, you will always underestimate the amount of time that it takes. In fact, my advisor had a rule of pi. He used to say that take the estimate of your best developer and multiply it by pi to get to get an estimate of what the project would take, how much effort the project would take. And if the developer is really good, then you can multiply by e instead of pi. So,
or if you don't want to do floating point math, you can just multiply it by 3.
Right.
That's what I usually do.
Floating point challenged.
Yes, I mean they might be using a really old computer, like some kind of 8080 or whatever. We are getting close to time here. Let me look at our questions again here. Got somebody interested in a model. That's great. Yeah, I mean, Satya, did we decide what we're doing next week yet?
So there are two options. I will either do a tutorial, or we are going to get the founder of YOLO.
Mm,
We are still working on that.
cool.
We may get him. If not, then I'll do a tutorial.
That would be either one of those would be great. I think we've been getting a lot of questions and comments from people lately about that are maybe beginners in computer vision and AI, and they're feeling a little bit left out because we're showing some of this high end stuff, and so we thought it would be nice to come back to a tutorial for some of the folks that are new to the industry, or just maybe just starting school or whatever. So we'll be getting back to some more of those tutorials soon. Later in the month, we've also got some folks from our friends at OpenVino will be stopping by, which will be fun for a couple of episodes about using OpenVino, which should be great for folks that are beginners or seasoned professionals. They're doing a lot of really awesome stuff over at the Intel OpenVino toolkit. So we always like to have them on the show. Yeah, Satya, you want to take us home?
Yeah, before I conclude, can I give a little anecdote, how to think about pricing and money and things like that? Nothing related to computer vision, but related to time and money, which is something that I keep telling people, but it's worth reiterating. So this is a story. My son was, I think he was turning 3 or so, and in India, whenever you have a birthday or something, you always make the kid wear new clothes. So that's a big deal, right? And we had misplaced whatever we had bought for him, and this was like the night before, and so
So you're freaking out. You're
yeah,
just
because the shops, the good stores were about to close in a couple of hours or so, and so one of the things, right, people don't realize is we don't value our time as much as we value the cash we have. So what I ended up doing, going to the store and getting this gift, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just going to the store, getting this thing, selecting, etc. And on Amazon, it would cost $15 and another $15 for next day shipping. They would get me at 9 a.m. the next morning, but it doubled the price, right? And it is very odd to actually, when something doubles in price, that, oh, something that costs me $9, now I'm going to or $15, and I'm going to spend $30 for it just for shipping. That just feels wrong. But if you actually look at the entire cost, you're going there, and even if you're making minimum wage in the United States, it's a better deal for you to just order fast shipping on Amazon instead of going and getting this for yourself. Plus, it cuts down on the selection you have is much more. And this is good, as a career advice. It's very good. I used to use these tricks even when I was not working as a consultant. That things that you could buy instead of build, buy it, and you would look like a superhero. That, oh, how could you get this thing done while the other person was taking so much time, right? So even if it is coming out of your own salary, even if it is, the company is not paying for it, sometimes paying that extra makes you look like super efficient, right? And let's say you spend extra $200 a month on these tricks. At the end of the year, you have spent something like,
$2,400.
a couple of $1,000, right? $2,400, a couple of $1,000. But
How was I quicker on the math on this one, Doc?
I forgot what I had used, whether I had said 200 or 100, I could not remember.
A likely story.
But
I'm the smart one now.
But my point is that you would look very, very smart compared to somebody who's, and that $2,400 you would easily make up an increased salary later on. But the perception would be that, oh, this guy is so fast in doing things. So keep that in mind. Just a little bit of advice, and this is not just related to Modelplace. Anytime you are able to swap out time and money, pay the money to save your time and use the time efficiently.
And also those small differentiators sometimes are actually huge. You use the example of Michael Phelps or any top level athlete. All they need to do is win by one. There's no. It's not the Warriors didn't win the NBA Finals by a score of 100-0. They won decisively, but they only won by a couple points. At the top level, all that matters is those couple points.
Yeah, it's the small advantages that matter. And on that topic, you could also look up, kids who were born in January in certain countries.
Yeah,
they have better chances of being good athletes because they have this little advantage of height and speed because they are taller and bigger than other kids in the class, but they get selected for extra coaching. And so this is a virtuous cycle. Now you're just rolling because you're getting more and more coaching.
Just because you happen to be born sooner, and so you're slightly bigger than the other kids when school starts in September, and it goes by age, and yeah.
So those things add up quickly, and you should think about, you cannot do anything about your date of birth, but you can do a lot by thinking about this interchangeability of time and money when you're professionally. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, it's all right. It's Satya's corner. We like to, end of the show sometimes we like to have Satya just go off. But yeah, take us home, Satya. Let's get out of here.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Vadim, for building such a great product. And thank you, Phil, for organizing the weekly webinar and all the other things that you do for OpenCV. And last but not the least, thanks to all our audience for joining us every week, motivating us to put up these shows. That's all. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
That's right. We wouldn't be doing these if you didn't watch them. Take care of yourself out there, folks. Take care of somebody else if you can. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the webinar. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to tap the little bell icon to be notified when new episodes drop. This week's episode was brought to you by OpenCV Courses. Learn computer vision and AI from the best at opencv.org/courses. If you'd like to be in the audience next week, subscribe to the OpenCV newsletter.